Good evening to everybody watching. Thank you for joining us on this week's edition of The Agenda. My name is Taiwan Jabela. Tonight on the platform, we are joined by Kennedy Hamutenya. He is an expert in the diamond space, having been Namibia's Diamond Commissioner for many years before eventually becoming CEO of Namdia. And we are just here to talk about things related to the state of diamond industry at the moment and related topics. Ken, it's a pleasure to have you on the platform. It's congratulations, you just got married, and I see you can't stop posting your wife. So exciting times for you and your family.
Thank you, thank you. First of all, for inviting me, Mr. Njabela, and thanks for that. You know, I'm catching a lot of flag. You know,
What?
because it was just a magistrate thing.
Oh.
So yeah, a lot of people are catching feeling, my friends and family.
Yeah. Why they did not come to the occasion?
Yeah,
You are lucky you haven't missed out on. You did it before the magistrates. Protest that prevented a lot of that from happening lately this week.
I was talking about that with my wife. So the timing was perfect.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll be going to next year.
Wonderful.
Yeah. The traditional one will come.
Yeah, the traditional will come. We will be there.
People must forgive me.
Yeah, okay. No, thank you. Let's talk a little bit about yourself. This diamond expertise that made you Diamond Commissioner for a long time, actually, for many years ago. How did that come about? You started in that space? You just mastered the art, or what? What is the background there?
Well, you might be aware that I grew up in exile for some 20 years.
Were you born there, or you went there with your parents?
I went there with my auntie and her husband that actually perished in a landmine within 3 months.
Of arriving there?
Of arriving, yes.
Wow, man.
You saw respite in peace.
Yeah.
That Amushila. Yeah. So I went to school at Mandumi, and then ended up in Yango camp, and then Cameroon, and teaching in Angola in Kwanzasu. So
you taught?
Yeah, I was teaching school in Kwanzasu.
Oh, I see.
The former president Bomba. God forbid, was the principal then.
Really?
Yeah, so I was teaching school there with others like Eliphas Hawala, Eva, Shivolo. Yeah, then we got scholarship to go to America.
Okay.
And what our mandate was to go and learn mining engineering, metallurgy, the natural sciences, so that we can come back and help the country with the mining sector at independence. So that when I came back from exile, I joined the Ministry of Mines and Energy. So I spent 23 years in the Ministry of Mines before before I was given the mission to go start Namdia. Yeah. So my whole career is really in mining, metallurgy, in the natural resources sector.
So you understand more than just diamonds? By virtue of, because if you say metallurgy, I suppose it's an encompassing sort of field and not just strictly diamonds.
I think my name has become very synonymous with diamonds now, and lately with Namdia because it's topical. Yeah. But I was at one point a mining inspector. I was director of mines. I was the chairperson of the Minerals Development Fund. I was the chief negotiator for the current agreements with the BS. So I've done a lot of things that I even represented Namibia at the International Seabed Authority in Jamaica. For some 15 years, we were drafting regulations for mining in the international sea.
Yeah.
So my career is beyond diamonds. I just eventually ended up focused with diamonds because at the time, it was compared to other minerals, it was a significant trade. It was contributing disproportionately to the state coffers. Yeah. So then I said to the government, as a director of mines, I'm juggling. Yeah. And I propose that we separate diamonds from the other minerals because that's where we're getting most of the revenue. So that's how I end up here.
Okay. Yeah. Wonderful. It's good that you alluded to having been involved, if I understood you correctly. You didn't finish the sentence, but I think you were trying to say that you were also involved in the in the BS Namibian government negotiations that sort of birthed that 50-50% thing.
Yes.
And I've put that question previously to Toma Lwendo, I've put it to Dr. Leake Angala on this platform about how that process unfolded and why it is so difficult somehow to replicate that with any other mineral in the country. I mean, we have declared a lot of them strategic minerals, but it's only diamonds in which we as the people, through our government, have a meaningful stake.
Okay, if first of all, with diamonds, there were successive negotiations that led to where we are now. The first round of negotiations at independence, I think around '94. Those at that time, Dr. Leake Angala was the permanent secretary at the ministry. He was him and that group of people, the late Madengos and others. They were the ones who spearheaded that process. You see, every agreement in those days takes, let's say, 5 years. Yeah. Every 5 years, we used to renegotiate the sales and marketing agreement with the BS. So then, when the next round comes, you take the learnings from that and you try to improve so that you are getting a compact that improves the benefits to the country. So that, for example, before we were just talking about how do we get the best value from the diamonds. Then now we talk about how do we bring in issues such as diamond beneficiation. So like, for example, our agreement where I was the chief negotiator, now we ended up with 13 to 15 diamond cutting and polishing factories, ensuring that all the biggest stones and the nicest stones are offered for sale to our factories in Namibia. And then creating, we used to have a company called DBS Marine South Africa. Now and that company was almost 90% Cape Townians. I remember there was a guy called Mr. Paul Dixon Savage. He was the general manager in Cape Town. He invited me to something there. And I asked where are the Namibians. He ran and then he came back to me with, he said, yeah, this is Mr. Apollos, a geologist. But today when you look, we have a company that is Namibianized. The captain vessels are Namibian. Local procurement of goods and service. The numbers are huge now. When, toilet paper, water, catering, even the throwing of trash in Port Nolo, those things have a lot of value. So we try to extract as much value for the benefit of Namibians and the country. So those successive negotiations basically ended up with us having more benefits for the country. So then, where do we want to go to next? And then eventually even Namdia. NDTC, Namibia Diamond Trading Company. It's fully run by Namibians. Those things did not exist before. They were run by British people. So all these successive negotiations, they have progressive benefits to the country. Now to get back to your question, you see, at independence, what we did, because we are a free country, we say now we have this thing. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
We started with legislation without a policy. Later, we start to develop a policy. Yeah, you see now this debate is going on with oil and gas. You say, no, you must wait until we have policy and legislation in place. Even with uranium, and we talk about whether we can have nuclear energy. You see, which comes first, is it legislation or policy? So if you don't have a policy framework, and then your law must come from that policy framework. So we didn't have that. So now what you have is a director of mines who is dealing with base metals, industrial minerals, precious stones, a whole lot of things. Even a minister dealing with all those things. If you go to South Africa, you have a department just for base metals, a department just for industrial minerals, a department for dimension stone. This way you focus, but when we are juggling things, this is where we end up with this type of situation, because you have one guy with a desk full of paperwork and try to put out fires. So you need focus. So we need to unbundle these things. And I've been saying to people, even Ministry of Mines should not be bundled together with oil and gas.
Yeah.
The other countries are doing different. They should be totally separate.
No.
Otherwise, you have a minister who is overwhelmed and putting out fires.
Yeah.
And then you cannot bring out the value when you are not focused.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That arrangement with NAMDEB, with the BS that we have, is that the fair ratio that we must have? I'm asking because you hear some, what I think is actually misplaced views, people saying, yeah, these are our resources, we must be having more stakes in these things. Even in resources where we are not even putting up capital injection. We want an investor to come here, they explore at their own cost, they produce at their own cost. You fold your hands and say, oh, now give me the majority of whatever you make. What kind of investor will agree to such scenarios?
Look, if you look at, you were just making a comparison between the arrangements we have with the diamond business, the diamond sector, versus the other minerals, whether it's base metals, copper, zinc, lead, uranium, etc., etc. Now, if you do a comparative analysis, how much do we get from uranium? What is our share as a government in Rossing now? It's a new name.
Yeah. And who's up there?
It's no more than 5%. Yeah. If you look at cement, it's an industrial mineral. It's coming from a mine product.
Yeah.
How much does the Namibian government own in this? It's a product that contributes to development. Dimension stone. Yeah. So the tax regime, diamond tax is 55%.
Yeah.
And then there's a royalty of 10%. And then there is a non-resident shareholders tax on that. Put it all together, it's a business that's taxed up to 65%. Now, the other groups of minerals, they are like 32. They are shipping blocks of dimension stone out of our country unprocessed. Apparently, they are taking them for testing and all this type of things. So we need to relook at some of these things and say, how do we extract value from the other groups of minerals? I think that the diamond industry is overtaxed. Yeah. It's a fact, because I've worked with this industry and I've seen that, sometimes we kill the goose that's laying the golden eggs. Yeah. There are many ways that we can extract value from a mineral like this without just thinking about tax. One day I said to Honorable Sarah Kungogela, when I was at the ministry, that the Ministry of Finance is fixated with tax. She got very angry with me. She said, you are calling me fixated. Yeah. And I said, Honorable, I'm sorry, maybe you took me wrong. I'm just saying that sometimes we should look at other ways of extracting value, like beneficiation, local procurement, skills transfer to young people. There are so many ways you can take value from minerals without just saying, okay, let's tax it. Because at the end of the day, you become uncompetitive relative to competing nations. And the industry will move where it's easier for them to do business. Because the initial investment, capital investment in just exploration is so huge that you want to look at the future and you want a predictable fiscal regime. You understand? You also want a stable government. You don't want, after you've invested 3 billion and there is a new minister says, from today I'm taking over your business. No. Nobody in their right mind who is making investment decisions is going to put their money and risk it where there is unpredictability. Yeah. So you need to have fiscal and legislative regime in place. Yeah. That is very basic and a basic requirement to attract investment, especially in this field. Yeah. Yeah.
So these problems that we have in the diamond sector now, and I'm not even talking about the diamond having gone down as one of the key contributors. We have problems at companies like Namdeb today who knock on the Minister of Mines door and say, look, give us some tax breaks, give us some relief. Do you think that has to do also with the manner in which sort of we've been milking that that entity? I mean, the things that you're mentioning here, those are extraordinary. You pay 55%, you pay royalties of 10%. That's crazy. Do you think that has also affected their ability to then continue to service their tax obligations?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That is what is happening. Okay, it's not a Namibian problem alone. It's also, you can see what's happening in Botswana. They are sitting on $2 billion worth of diamonds, which they can't sell. And the problem is here now, if you mine a diamond for, the cost is $100 US, hypothetically. How do you sell it for 60?
Yeah.
How do you pay for diesel to buy equipment? Just one of those big tires on the mining vessels, mining vehicles, mining haulage trucks there. One is $500,000 one tire. Yeah? So plus the cost of diesel, plus the cost of paying people, labor, plus expertise, research and development, etc., etc. You understand what I'm saying? Now, if I am mining just to sell a product for cheap, what is the point? I can take that money and put it in real estate and make so much more money. Mm-hmm. There's no point unless you are not thinking right. So, to get back to your question, is the industry has always had cyclical problems. The market sometimes is like this, and sometimes at the bottom. But overall, at the end of the day, when you are doing your analysis in terms of cash flows, look in the future, you do accept that there will be good times and bad times. Yeah. So the diamond industry has gone historically through cyclical issues. Now, the problem we have is no longer just cyclical; it's structural. Yeah. Structural from the point of view of we have a threat from lab-grown diamonds. Yeah. I don't know why they call them lab, because they are really not producing the lab. Yeah. Huge factories in India and China are producing these things. Yeah. So it's a misnomer to call it lab-grown. Mm. They are really synthetic. Yeah. Yeah. So synthetics, they were not a big problem before because the technology was not good. And it takes a lot of energy to produce this. Mm. But as technology gets better, now you have mass production. And diamonds, especially very cheap ones, they are the most affected. If you have nice big stones of good color and those type of things, good quality like Namibian diamonds, yeah, you stand a chance in a competition with synthetic diamonds. But now we are at the point where, even in America, 50% of engagement rings are now synthetic. Ooh. So it's a serious. This is an epic challenge to the diamond industry, and it's here is a clear and present danger. Yeah. Yeah. So that is one. A weak market, declining demand in China, and then now you add on tariffs, 50% on tariffs to especially on Indian diamonds, where almost 80 to 90% of all the jewelry is produced in India. Yeah. So now you add all these issues together. They are actually combining to create a big problem for the diamond industry. So the question is now, how do we come out of it? Mm. You understand what I'm saying?
Because that is exactly my fear now, to say going forward. I mean, because there's this decline, And there's talks
Yes.
in some corridors here to say, look, De Beers is up for sale.
Yes.
Anglo-American is pulling out, and Namibia must hop onto the opportunity. But some people are saying, how do you hop onto an opportunity of a declining product? How do we deal with that paradox?
Look, there is always value in natural diamonds. Yeah. We should get away from the talk of selling stone and get into the talk of selling a story. Yeah. With this type of generation, you want to talk about the emotional value of diamonds. You want to talk about what those diamonds do for our countries. We have a very good name as a country, Namibia together with Botswana in particular. So how do we change the narrative? Because young people are saying, no, natural diamonds associated with destruction of the environment, you are digging up big holes. They're involved with blood diamonds or conflict diamonds, if you've seen the Blood Diamond movie. Child labor, forced labor, unethical practices, issues of fair trade. So these issues of the ethics of the business are affecting the industry. Yeah, and also young people say, why should I spend 30,000 US on a ring if I can spend 5,000 for a bigger stone? You understand?
The synthetic one.
Yeah. So the natural stone business will be there. It's going to be there. The synthetic stone business will be there. Eventually, they will go their own way. The synthetic business is basically what you call fashion jewelry.
Yeah.
You know, like ladies, they have a lot of jewelries in their closet. Say, this one I'm wearing to this party.
Yeah.
But they don't have that value. The emotional value is not a stone that you can take 5 years from now and say, I want to sell this for my grandchildren to go to school. Natural diamonds have that intrinsic value within them. So eventually what you are going to have is a separation of corn from the chaff. And Namibia will be there. The story of Namibia, the Namibian diamond will be there. It's how do we position ourselves? Yeah. So if Botswana is talking about their story of their diamonds separately from Namibia, Namibia is talking about their diamonds separately from Angola, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
The issue is not who sells most diamonds. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is not the story. It's not about who. The issue is how do we fix the structural issues in the business? Collectively, Namibia, Botswana, Angola, the biggest producers. Russia is there. The other producers, Venezuela is very small, Sierra Leone,
Yeah.
etc. So we need to fix the industry. Because if the industry is not fixed,
Yeah.
what happens in Botswana, Namibia, and Angola is irrelevant.
Yeah.
First of all, you have to fix the industry, the structural issues. It means that we need to work together. Because there is no point if I am mining and I'm spending a lot of money to dig those diamonds from the soil or from the ocean, and I'm mining them at $300 US, but Angola come and dump the same stones in the market for $50.
Yeah.
So we are working at counter purposes. So we needed to get to a point where we work together like a cartel, where we think together on one table and say, how do we release? So we protect the margins. It's about having a competitive business. It's better we sell less stones into the market for the right price than everyone just dump. At the end of the day, you close the whole business.
Yeah.
We're committing suicide, all of us together. So we need to think from a global perspective when we are talking about this product now going forward. And also it's from there that we can now tackle the issue of synthetics. Only working together can we now, we need to spend a lot of money on marketing because we are competing now with not just synthetics, we are also now competing with other luxury products.
Yeah.
We must remember we are dealing with a luxury here. We are not dealing with copper that you can use to generate electricity. Is this a stone?
Yeah.
You don't need it, but someone is convinced that they need it to get married or for one other reason. I don't want to go into those. So how do we convince? It's about demand. How do we create demand?
Yeah.
How do we have an industry that is so resilient that it can withstand future shocks? And this is what we should be looking at. There is a business. The story of Namibia diamonds is there. It will be there. But it's how we do it. How do we work together? So we cannot have a defeatist attitude and say, hey, we have lost the battle. No, it's just marketing.
Yeah.
The reason why diamonds Indians are now buying diamonds, before Indians were not buying diamonds. They were just buying gold. But now it's become a big culture of India to buy diamonds. Japanese people were not in diamonds. It was created when they did this big story about a diamond is forever. Arab people rich are now buying diamonds. They see them as something that separates them from rich people always want differentiation.
Yeah.
So the only way you achieve that is through marketing.
Absolutely.
So what has happened over the years is the BS stopped spending so much money on marketing because they say, okay, how come we're the only one spending on marketing? But Angola is dumping diamonds in the market.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing that Angola wants to be part of the BS.
Yeah.
And working together with Botswana, and we should be part of the picture on the table talking about how we are going to drive this business forward in a competitive manner, in a transparent manner, ethically, and in a manner that serves our country's interest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We go for a very short break and return with Kennedy Hamutenya. We continue the very informative conversation with Kennedy Hamutenya. Do you think, because you've made it clear now that you are for Namibia getting into that space itself, because what we understand is now that, of course, currently the BS is owned by Anglo-American and Botswana, which has 15%. Angola is lurking. I think they've made an official bid to buy into, to acquire some of the stakes of Anglo-American. You are saying Namibia too must get involved, and I fully agree that imagine a scenario where Angola and Botswana co-own our NAMDEBs and the BS, and we are just a local shareholder, not at the group level. But do we have the capacity to run that global entity as 3 Southern African countries, assuming we were able to buy out the Americans, or Anglo-American, which is, I think, British?
Look, at the end of the day, to run this business, you still need expertise, experience, and management. It exists in the ecosystem of the mining world, in particular diamonds. Yeah, that exists. When we say that Namibia, Angola, and Botswana should come together, we are not saying that. We are not talking about nationalization here. I think that we have to make that point clear. What we are talking about is sovereignty and governance. Because what we have been doing as a nation, we are focused on the aspect of the upstream side of the business. That is the mining and distribution of the stones. But then you know what we do? We hand them over to someone else. And then we don't know what happens after that. You understand? So you remember the people were having these issues of undervaluation of diamonds, etc., etc. You know, my name was wrapped up in that thing. How do you know what the actual value of the stone is in the market if you are not there?
Yeah.
You are not involved in the marketing, in the branding, in the jewelry. You are nowhere.
Yeah.
You are just focused on revenue generation at the mining level. Yeah. So this is now an opportune moment to seize that generational, let me call it, it's a generational opportunity where we now get what we've been yearning for many years. You understand what I'm saying? So ideally what you want is that the countries take a share, which gives them a form of leverage in terms of sitting on the board, and even in terms of ensuring that within the management of the BS that we have our own people, not just here in Oranjemund or in the Namdia building, but also wherever the diamonds are being sold, where the jewelry is being sold. We need to be there because that is the way how we will capture institutional and organizational memory and capacity. Yeah. So the ideal package will be the governments having a seat at the table where the business is run by competent management that has the excellence, that has the experience and the expertise. Yeah, all this together with technology and innovation.
And it gives you also then some sort of invisible hand into the diamonds of these neighboring countries, because you're the co-owner now somehow, isn't it?
Yes, and that's a very good question you're asking, because I had an interview a few days ago with Metro Radio, and I said, what are you getting when you buy the BS, when you have a stake in the BS? What does the BS own? Let's just try to unpack that. They own 4 mines in Botswana. Yeah. Recently, the government of Botswana and the BS announced new discovery of kimberlites in Angola. But aside from that, the BS has, before that, discovered huge deposits of diamonds in Angola, which they have not mined because they couldn't meet eye to eye with the government of Angola. Because Angola was saying, you mine the diamond, hand them over to us. You know, so it's an issue of trust. Yeah. You understand? So they own Venetia mine, 75% of Venetia mine in South Africa. They own a mine in Canada and in Sierra Leone, plus now the 50-50 here. So when you are entering into this relationship with your 10%, let's say Namibia take 10-15%, we're also now getting 10 to 50%, whatever profit is coming out of Botswana or from Angola. But beyond that, there is expertise in exploration, geophysical sciences, sampling, research and development. Some of the tools that they are being used on our vessels here in Namibia, this is technology that is owned by the BS. It's their intellectual property. Yeah. We are not sharing in that intellectual property. They own about 27 jewelry shops around the world. And then they have a brand, Forever Mark. And then they have another brand that focuses on just cut and polish of stones. And they are using these stones as vehicles for storytelling. Yeah. Yeah, and partnerships with about 2,700 jewelry shops all over the world. Then they have another company called Element 6 that has amazing technology. Synthetics, and I want to talk about synthetics a bit, okay, because one of the things that the BS has invested in. Synthetics are used for many different things apart from just jewelry. Yeah. So, for example, diamond powder is used to polish the wheels of planes by Boeing and by General Motors. Yeah. It's used in optical equipment. It's used in medicine surgery, if you want a clean cut without leaving a mark, they are using diamonds. Diamonds are used for grinding. Even these tools they are used drilling for oil, they are coated with diamonds. Precision machinery equipment. So Element 6 is a company owned by DBS that is going into state-of-the-art innovative technology that's coming from diamond knowledge. You are buying into all this. So it's not just about sitting on a table, it's also leveraging the technology of exploration and mining. And all these technologies, you can use it for other mining apart from diamonds. Even Namdia is talking about rare earth minerals. So you are now tapping into a bigger world of diamond technology, research, development, and innovation. And Namibia cannot afford to be caught out of this.
Absolutely.
It would be actually very embarrassing if tomorrow Botswana and Angola are coming to sit in the Namdia building for their 50% of our diamonds.
Absolutely.
Because we were napping.
Yeah. Tell me, Kennedy, about how would you sum up your time at Namdia? What are the milestones? You were the founding CEO. You were very much involved in the process of establishing that entity that became a very thriving entity in our Republican life. What would you sum up? How would you sum up your time there?
Look, I was very privileged to be given this assignment. Number one, as the founding director, I was the sole founding director, and the founding acting CEO before I became a substantive CEO. I spent 7 years of my life there. So we started a company from scratch, from ground zero. And we built a very solid foundation. Where we were given, let me just say, 50 million US from the Diamond Valuation Fund. That's what we started with. We started Maruamo, 3 of us, in a small office in Maruamo, before we went to that building, the famous building.
Infamous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the wrong reasons sometimes.
Yeah.
But Namdia also developed a very strong international reputation. There's no one in the international world does not know about Namdia, because we were doing business right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in the 6 years as CEO, we managed to, from 50 million, generate revenue of some 2.1 billion US. We made profit of 940 million US dollars from 50 million. 940 million US dollars, close to $1 billion. Yeah. We paid dividends of some 170 million. And those are dividends. Taxes and levies of some 360 million. Just taxes, levies, and dividends, we're talking about $500 million US dollars to the state.
Yeah.
So Namdia, we managed to create not just a strong financial vehicle for the state, but beyond that, if you would remember, if we talk about corporate social responsibility, we were there with the brave warriors. The players, they miss us. I said us because I still see myself as a part of Namdia. We were there with Mboma and Maslingi.
Yeah.
We actually brought them on the scene. Then the MTC came to steal them from us. Yeah. We were there during COVID. we established an oxygen plant in Marienthal. We helped during drought, athletics all over, supporting schools, hospitals and clinics, scholarships. I can go on and on. Even Dr. Ndume, state-of-the-art equipment for eye surgery. So Namdia was there in terms of corporate governance, doing amazing things and making sure the diamonds are saving, they are benefiting Namibians and helping for the industry, for the development of our country. So my tenure, together with my teammates, I think we did amazing things for the country.
Yeah.
But I still believe that Namdia has an opportunity to continue the diamond story of Namibia to greater heights.
Yeah.
We never reached the pinnacle of where we are supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I like what Minister Ithete said before he left, that we shouldn't throw the baby out with the dirty water. Let's rather just clean it up and move on.
Yeah. So with all these huge milestones, very, very huge milestones, how come your contract was not renewed? I knew that you pleaded your case. There was a letter that was circulating in which you stated what you've achieved and why you felt that you could still offer. You had so much still to offer to the entity, and somehow nobody listened and you left. What did you do?
Well, to be honest, we are diverging philosophies on how to run the company, myself and the board. Yeah, you must remember, before that board, there was another board of Shakespeare Masiza, and then this new board came in. They saw things differently. So in the boardroom, there was quite a lot of friction. So it became very clear that my vision and the way, not just myself, with other management, and the way we saw the way forward, we were not aligned. So I was not invited for an interview. No, I don't know why I wasn't invited, but I just was not invited for an interview. But that is what it is.
But you, invitation to the interview would have happened automatically by the virtue of being incumbent, or you applied again for the position?
No, I was told by the chair that because you are the incumbent, we'll give you an opportunity to compete for the job. Yeah. So what they did, they brought in an expert from Cape Town, and he came and he said, "Yeah, this institution is now at an inflection point where you can take it to greater heights. So you need people who are more sophisticated than this one to run the company." So they went and they did restructuring, and they basically came up with requirements that made sure that I don't qualify. And I applied. I just was never called.
Wow, man.
I was actually told 2 days before that we don't need you.
Wow, man. The requirements that were set were met by your successor? Because I thought, of course, I'm not trying to drive a wedge here between you and your successor eventually. You had nothing to do with her appointment whatsoever. But Meme Alisa Mpolo is a communications person, and she was the CEO in that space before, and you told me just now that you were a metallurgy guy, and with all your experience, what requirements were set that she met but you couldn't meet?
To be honest, I can't answer that question because first of all, the interviews were organized by external parties.
Yeah.
I understand that there was one company, and then it was gotten rid of, they brought another one. I don't know Alisa. In fact, I only ran into her recently. So I really don't know what our strengths and weaknesses are. So I really, I can't speak to that. All I know is that I was not invited to the interview.
Yeah.
And that I was just told to pack my things and go.
Yeah. The very sad episode of January, I think 17 or 18 was it? It was this year, when that news of the theft and the robbery and the deaths in the office that you helped build, just what went through your mind in terms of what you know about the state of security, the state of the infrastructure there, and what unfolded?
Okay. Let me say this. Like I told you, before we moved to that building, we were in a small office in Maruamo. So we actually started trading already from Namdia building from there. But the minister of the time said, no, you need your own space. My suggestion to the minister of the time, Kanjode,
yeah,
it was, why don't we just take a floor in the Namdia building, and then we just drop the stones through the chute then we leverage on the security already in that building. But we were told that we need to be independent and we must find our own space. So we had options, either to build a new place, which would take a long time because we already start trading and we didn't want to lose, because from ground zero, when the clock starts ticking, the BS said, okay, you have this entitlement, but if you don't take it, we'll take it. So we say, so how do we take advantage and sell and make as much revenue as possible? You understand? So there are many challenges, and that's something else in terms of how do we get the 20 million, 25 million US every cycle, every 5 weeks to buy diamonds? How do we have that confidence from the bank, from RMB or Standard Bank or elsewhere, to have that confidence for them to have that confidence in us that we'll give you 20, 25 million. So we were running around like headless chicken, looking for a place to trade. Opportunistically, that building that used to be owned by Danny Bottes, if you remember, it was just like a haunted house there by the corner.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know.
I
only saw that.
Yeah, where he used to hide SWAPO soldiers.
Yeah.
While they were looking for them in Katura, he was hiding them there. Yeah, that's why we call it a umbo, because he used to hide people there. Yeah. So then what happened is that every time we went to a building, there were many other people in the building, so it just didn't qualify. Yeah, did not qualify. So eventually there was a building that's halfway built. Yeah. One of the guys on the team, he says, Kennedy, come, let me go and show you this building. But next to it is also a police station.
Yeah.
So we said, oh, it's next to a police station. And also, if you are robbing this place, how far do you run? Where do you go? Are you going to Ludwigsdorf? Are you going to town, or are you going to the airport? You know, they will cut you off. So that was our thinking. So we also thought, why don't you take a building that's not finished and then we custom make it into the building that we want? So we went to the minister, and the minister said, look, Kennedy, you think you can just go into a building and do business? No, it has to be vetted by the police, by the intelligence, by the Diamond Police, PRU. All those people came to vet that building, and they gave us requirements. They said, this is what you must do for us to give you the certificate to trade here. So now I'm not going to tell you what we did to that building. There's no building that's more safer than Namdia building. Okay, Namdia building and Bank of Namibia, perhaps. Yeah. So we basically put things in that building that cost us money. And the reason why we put, at the time people say, they are building luxury. No. The wiring, the security system, they were state of the art. Things that were not in any building in Namibia. Yeah. Why they failed on that day, I don't know. Yeah, they were state of the art. And only after we did all those things, and I'm not going to go into what is in that building to secure it, because that would be reckless of me. Then they came and they said, tick, 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 tick. They said, now you can move in. You can trade with diamonds here. But also before you trade with diamonds, I was diamond commissioner, you remember. This was my job, to ensure that a building is safe before you can trade in. And you can put people in to make sure that they are safe. It's not just the safety of diamonds alone. It's the safety of people. Yeah. So what you have to do is you put together structures, systems, and processes that protect people and the product.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. Yeah. So that fateful day, I had a phone call, and it was my wife, my wife's sister that called. She was coming from the airport, and she called my wife. She said, "Please give the phone to Kennedy," and she said, "Kennedy, your building is being robbed and people are being killed." And I said, "What?" I stood up. I said, "What?" "Yes," he said, "they are killing people and they are holding people hostage." I stood up and I was pacing around the room, and my wife said, "You are not going there. Sit down.
Yeah.
I know you want to go there, but you are not going. Sit down. Let the authorities handle this thing." Yeah. So up until today, I'm very, very. I feel bad. I really feel bad that people were killed. We lost life.
Yeah.
Put the product and the money aside. We lost human beings in that building, and it's very bad.
Yeah.
It was never supposed to happen. But why did this happen?
Yeah.
You see, I think that in this instance, we need to get away from talking about personalities. And let's rather talk about systems and processes, what went wrong. Yeah. Because when I was at Namdia, what we wanted to do is create a system and processes that are so robust that even when I leave or the next person leave, this type of thing shouldn't happen. Understand? Yeah. So it's a systemic failure. What do I mean by systemic failure? You cannot now start to scapegoat a person and say, it's because of her that this happened. I think that is really wrong. Yeah. It's not fair. Yeah. Because a system, let's just look at the system, what it consists of. Yeah. The system, first of all, we're talking about the internal security systems and structures.
Yeah.
When I was in Namibia, I used to stress, I used to tell people, you are not bringing your people to come and visit here when we have, especially when we have diamonds in the building. No people, your parents, if you want, you go and meet them out on the street. They are not coming in the building. Yeah. And then people say, that is a fortress. Because there's a reason for that. That you cannot bring people in a building full of diamonds of that value. Yeah. Yeah. I used to tell the people that security is the job of everyone. The cleaner, the receptionist. If you see, I would say, if you see something suspicious, report it immediately. Yeah. And we are actually connected to the client and the police station next door, and to other people as well. Yeah. So I say security is the job of everyone in the company. It's not the job of the CEO and the security manager and the operations manager alone. It's the job of everyone. When I was sitting in the boardroom of management, I said we make responsibly, we take democratic decisions, and we all live by the sword if something goes wrong. Yeah. Now you can't wake up one day and say, no, these ones, they did it. We are clean. No, that's not true. So, first of all, you have the Ministry of Safety and Security, the Diamond Police. Why is it that the Diamond Police is not protecting the building?
That was going to be my next question. We've run out of time, but I wanted actually to ask the question to say...
And then we have an Inspectorate of Diamond Affairs. Yeah. Shouldn't they be doing regular reviews and say, you guys, you are lacking here. We will not allow you to export. The board has a risk and audit committee supposed to identify risks in the company. Didn't they recognize that there is a risk in the company? The management, everyone, the other whole line must take responsibility in a fair manner.
Absolutely.
Accountability and responsibility is all across the line. That's why I call it systemic failure.
Yeah.
And it's a lesson for all of Namibia that's dealing with either money or resources that of high value.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't be talking about who did it. It's what went wrong and how do we make sure this doesn't happen again.
Absolutely. Ken, thank you for your time, man. I appreciate your time, my brother.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Sure, definitely.
Pleasure.
That's Kennedy Hamutenya. He is a former CEO of Namdia and also held several positions within the Ministry of Mines and Energy, including being the country's diamond commissioner at the time, walking us through his journey and his sharing, of course, insights on a number of issues. Thank you for watching.